Hello friends, welcome to Late Night Creations. So glad that you clicked on this video today because we are going to be making 3 beautiful neutral DIYs that you can use to decorate your home for fall or pretty much any time of the year. Let's get started. We are going to start with this little piece of chippy wood, little piece of scrap wood that has some beautiful paint, some beautiful chipping. You can see that the ends are cut raw, but we're going to take care of that. And then this little piece of metal salvage that I purchased off of Whatnot, in a lot of them, and it's got some beautiful chippy paint as well. We're going to use some raffia and just a few little pieces of foliage. First of all, I'm going to take some dark wax by DIY and put it on the ends so that it doesn't look like it's such fresh cut wood. And then I just smoothed it out all over the whole entire piece. This is going to be the quickest, simplest little DIY that turns out so cute. You're going to love it. We're going to put this little hanger on the back. I'm going to use my little center punch to poke the holes where these go in because sometimes I struggle with these little sawtooth hangers that you just hammer in because the wood might be a little bit dense and then I smash them to pieces. So that little trick worked out perfectly. Now we're just going to attach this little piece of salvage on there, and I'm just seeing where I want it because I'm going to put that little piece of foliage in there. I'm going to use my center punch again so that my screws will be easy to screw in. And I actually did it twice. I don't know if that helps anything or not, but anyway, I'm just showing you that it's not sharp. It's not sharp at all. I do not know how this thing works so great, but I don't know how I ever lived without it. I'm going to line that up with those holes I just punched. I'm going to take 2 little screws I had in my stash and screw this down. Now, prior to this, I did scratch it up with a little bit of sandpaper. You see my little sanding block up there on the right. And then I put some dark wax on the screws. I sanded the tops of them and put some dark wax on them so that they matched better with the piece that we're using. Then I just put those 2 little pieces of foliage together. I've taken 2 different colors of some raffia, and I'm just going to use a little hot glue and then wrap this around the bottom. I'm fumbling with it just a little bit, trying to figure out how in the world I'm going to make that happen with my 2 left hands today. But anyway, you see, if I can do it, you can do it too. I just thought that this would look a little nicer than having it look all twisted together like it looked. And I think it turns out really cute. You don't really see a whole lot of it when we get done, but it still makes it just, you know, all those little touches make your projects look even better. So that's how I want it to fit in there. I made a little bow with both of those, a little finger bow off camera. Bows are pretty easy to make. I do have a video linked in my description box. It's a very short video where I make a finger bow and a tassel in case you're interested in watching that. Now I'm just going to glue these 2 little pieces in place and this DIY will be done. How quick and easy is this with just little scraps? So don't overlook all those little things people are going to throw away. This DIY is super easy. I made it look like it was a little bit tough, but I promise it's not. I picked up this charger on clearance from Hobby Lobby for only $1.99. It's absolutely beautiful. I took just a bunch of random pieces of greenery and flowers and just things that I thought looked good together. Some of them came off the same bush, some of them didn't. And I just put them together, and I did not have any floral tape, or I couldn't find it. So I just used twine to wrap these together. And that way, if it accidentally shows, which it doesn't, but if it accidentally does, then you see the twine and it just looks like it's rustic and goes with it. Now, you all know if you've been around very long, I am not a floral arranger. Nope, that would be my daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law works for a florist and does an amazing job, but I do the best I can. But I'm just going to wrap these together and make a little swag. And then I'm going to use some of that Fix-All adhesive that I get from Dollar Tree and some hot glue so that we can make sure that it doesn't peel off and come off of this little decor piece we're making. And then I'm just going to glue and poke little pieces in where I think it looks good. You do it how you think it looks good when you make yours. Now, this could be for hanging. I did put a hanger on the back, or you could lay it on a tabletop as a centerpiece. So just poking some extra little leaves in there. And I did not use any chiffon ribbon on this piece at all. In fact, I don't think I used any in this video. What is wrong with me? I must have not been feeling well. Okay, so I went over to my Cricut and I cut this out on HTV. Now, I have used HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl, many times on wood and ironed it on, and it works great. Today, not so much. Blessed coming in and blessed going out. One of my favorite scriptures. That means blessed all the time, but I'd love to have this in my house by my door so that people that come know that they're going to be blessed coming in and out because I'm going to pray for them. Okay, so I painted it with some aviary paint by DIY. I'm dry brushing it with some Sawmill Gravy by Dixie Belle. And then I have some weathered wood or dark chocolate. I believe this is weathered wood. And I'm going to just take an old fan brush and lightly put a little on there. I'm going to take my sander, and you say, why are you doing all that work and painting it and then sanding it off? Because that's the look I want. Okay, I'm going to put this HTV on there, this vinyl transfer, and I'm going to take my little mini heat press. You could use any kind of iron with no steam. And I pulled it off, and I don't know if my iron was too hot or I pressed and smeared it. Something. Anyway, I tried to scrape it a little bit. I tried to sand it a little bit. And in the end, I just sanded the whole thing off. And I didn't have to start all over, but I did have to repaint a little bit. But anyway, it was worth it because in the end, it comes out great. Okay, here's the second one, the second time around. It worked great. And it looks good. I didn't have the same color vinyl. I really liked the darker brown better, but it works fine. I'm going to take Clear Wax by Dixie Belle, and I'm going to wax our little piece and buff it out so that we're sealing in the paint. You do not need to seal vinyl when you use vinyl, but I wanted to seal that paint in. Okay, now I'm going to use the Fix-All Super Glue and hot glue on the back of this. You can see Fix-All Adhesive by Super Glue. Get that at Dollar Tree. And hot glue. I want the hot glue to hold it immediately right now. And then till that super glue dries, because that super glue is going to adhere to this plate better than the hot glue would. Then I'm going to, I did use some ribbon in this. I forgot that I put a little bow out of some chiffon ribbon, which is my favorite. And you can see what I'm doing. I just made a little bow, a real simple little bow, and then I'm just putting some little tails behind it. I'm going to dovetail the ends, which I don't always do, but I thought it looked pretty on here. And then I'm going to flip it over, which I should have done this before I put glued the florals down, but you know, your girl just doesn't do that. Everything the way that it's supposed to be done, but we get it done. I'm going to take a piece of twine. I'm going to glue it down to the back. Now, we know how hot glue does with plastic or a lot of things. It doesn't always hold real well. So I'm going to take a little piece of canvas drop cloth, and I'm pushing that hot glue into the fibers of that. I did that same method on both sides. Then I decided I didn't like the way it was going to hang. I should have put that original piece up a little higher, but I said more is better, right? We'll just put a lot of glue and a lot of canvas drop cloth, and this little hanger is not going to go anywhere. And this, my friends, is how our piece turned out. let's make a tray today. I had this in my stash. I bought a nestled bunch of them from Amazon a few years back. And this is, I think, the second or third from the largest. I'm showing you the dimensions there in case you want to know. I'm going to use some aviary paint by DIY. This is a beautiful green. It's great for fall. It's great for Christmas. It's great for spring. It's great for every season. That's why I decided I would paint this little tray with this color, because this is actually a decor piece that we could use year-round. Once I got it all painted and it's completely dry, you know, it's 100+ degrees in Texas right now, and the wind blows out at my house like crazy all the time. So I have a little table on my porch of the craft cottage, and I just put stuff out there to dry, and it dries really quickly. I'm just going to dry brush a little bit of this sawmill gravy on here to give it a little bit of dimension. Then I have this vintage stencil. The stencil itself is not vintage, it just says vintage. A little play on words there. I got this from Essential Stencil. It's a really hard word. That's a really hard name for me to say. Essential Stencil. And I'm just going to use this large pouncer. I get these from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to pounce, pounce, pounce. And I'm not using a whole lot of paint on my brush. And I'm holding it down, this stencil down with my fingers around where I'm pouncing. I ended up with so much of this paint on my fingernails. It was kind of hilarious. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that weathered wood, or I can't remember if it's weathered wood, or anyway, it's a dark brown. Might be layered chocolate. And I'm going to take a smaller pouncer brush and just dab it around where I think it would make it look vintage, aged, you know. Just give it a little bit of shadowing. And then I'm going to take that large pouncer and just go over it. I'm just go back and forth until I think it's going to look like I want it to. And then I don't even care if it's completely dry before I peel it back. But I'm going to take all the painter's tape off and then lift this off, and look how beautiful this is. I absolutely love this. This is going to be one of my favorite trays. I probably will not sell this. I'm going to take my finger sander and I'm going to give it a little sand to give it more of that vintage rustic look. I'm going to take this little tag and paint it with sawmill gravy, and then take the layered chocolate and just do a little dry brushing around the edges. And then I take my finger sander and I do sand it a little bit to make it nice and smooth. The Apothecary labels by IOD are one of my favorite sets. They're like a little mini set. I absolutely love them. They're small letters. They're great for little projects like this. So I'm going to put established 1990. And so I didn't have 2 9s, so I used the 6 to give me the space I needed. And then I'm going to just leave that space open. You can see what I'm doing. You see all that paint on my fingernails? And then I'm going to use a wet wipe, and I'm going to clean all that ink off. I'm using the black permanent ink by Iron Orchid Designs, IOD. And then I'm going to move that 9 over into its correct spot and ink just the 9. And I got a little bit on the 1, I got a little bit over here, a little bit over there. I'm just going to take the wet wipe, make sure that the 9 is the only thing that has ink on it. And then I'm going to put it where it belongs and stick it right in there. And I did sand over that just a wee bit to make it look like it's a little bit worn. I'm going to take the Dixie Belle Best Dang Clear Wax and give everything a good coat. I'm going to take a little bit of twine. I'm going to loop it through the handle, and this is how we're going to attach. Oh, and then I did tie a little knot right there. And this is how we're going to attach our little tag right there. Look how cute this is. And then I tied a little double knot right there so it doesn't come off. You can see what I'm doing. I probably do not even need to talk in these videos. You could see what I'm doing. Purely for entertainment. Okay, at the Creative Thistle Reuse store that I get used crafts from and I donate to, I got this little bag, and it had those birds, had several of those birds and some greenery and that wreath. So I decided to take some messy moss, put it as in there like a nest, and just make this. None of that is attached. It is removable. I can remove it at any time. I can use this for Christmas, fall, spring, any time of the year. Let me know what you think about this vintage tray. That's it for this video, friends. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and remember to leave a comment down below. I like to know that you were here. I like to interact with you. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.